I am excited, actually, to talk to you guys about a topic that tends to be on the boring side, especially if you're on the receiving end of status reporting. And my promise to you is to make it fun, interesting, and impactful. And I will be able to answer any questions that you have following this presentation, as well as provide you access to the resource and training materials that I am going to review with you today. I want to make sure that you have what you need to go right to work this afternoon or tomorrow and apply these tools and techniques to help you get it done. So I have something that I've been using for a really long time in different organizations, and my background is building and running PMOs primarily for the last 17 years. I built my first one in the 90s and had no idea what I was doing and had to figure out how it was going to help organizations, especially in the dot-com era when everything was moving at the speed of light, how I could help simply and clearly articulate and my needs of my team and my project team members and help the organization and our sponsors understand how they could participate in the process with us to help us get things done. What I have also seen, though, over the last couple of decades in working with organizations is that we do a lot of status reporting, and it ain't pretty. We have all kinds of status reports, from big, huge, complicated heat maps to very detailed, multi-page documents that go into a great level of detail on things that are going on with your project or your program, and I feel like we are missing the point. I believe that the best thing that you can do is create one-page resources and tools, of which we have many, to communicate with others effectively what you need from them so you can focus on getting things done. Our problem is that we are, trying to provide a lot of detail to people, and they may not understand or have the context or, quite frankly, even need that detail in order to be effective. So my suggestion to you is that we use something like the one-page executive dashboard, and we tell them what they need to know and then stop. So into the tool that we use, I'd like to take you on a journey that is probably pretty familiar to you. So you're running a project and you are in a status meeting, and maybe you're not even running the project. It's just a project you're participating in, or that you're watching. If you run PMOs, maybe you're watching one of your project or program managers walk through a typical status meeting. That meeting, and you're trying to get your sponsor or your management team to pay attention to what you need from them. And unfortunately, they're drilling down into some obscure or irrelevant details in your report, down on the bottom of page 14 in the lower right corner, and you're thinking to yourself, what have I done? They're asking you questions, and you're thinking to yourself that I haven't even gotten to the things I need from you, and time is running out. And they'll go down this rabbit hole, and they're asking you questions about something that may even not even be connected to your project, or it's something that you've already solved, or it's something where it's not even going to help you with things you're stuck on right now. You walked into that meeting with your team telling you, please go get an answer on this. Please go get a decision made. Please, help us solve a problem. And that's your role, representing your project or your team, is to go get those answers for your team and help your team get unstuck. Or it might be just trying to get them to pay attention to your project. But sadly, when we are spending all of our time in these meetings going through all this detail, we have the risk that we're not going to get done what we need to get done in that meeting. So, we get to the end of that meeting, and we probably spent, who knows, days, weeks, even months preparing for this meeting, pulled together all of this documentation, spent all of this time and energy trying to provide all the information we think our leaders need, and then they went down that rabbit hole, and we didn't get what we needed out of that meeting. It's over, and we're looking at our clock on the wall saying, okay, I didn't even get to give an overall status of what was going on for our project. They don't even have the bottom line summary of what we've accomplished and what we're trying to do. we haven't gotten the decisions made that we needed to get made, and so now I have to go back to my team with my tail between my legs and say, I have to have another meeting or 3 before we're ever going to get that decision made on this project. How frustrating is that? And quite frankly, embarrassing, because your team, was cheering you on and hoping that, and say this and don't forget about this and this other thing that we have to make sure that we tell them, because everybody wants to have their 2 cents into it, and they think all that detail is going to help you get to those decisions. And now you have to go back and tell them, we didn't even get to talk about the issue that you needed decisions on. And you certainly didn't get a chance to start solving problems. So that I know I've seen in the organizations that I go in and I coach or train, and quite frankly, that used to be me before I learned how to find the right level of detail and the right information. I would go back and just be super frustrated. And the sad thing is, I had nobody to blame but myself. And if you're in that situation, sadly, your team, is going to be looking at you saying, but your job was to go in there and get me that information, and you failed. And it stinks. But sadly, we're doing this to ourselves because we gave them the information that they needed, and then we didn't stop talking. We highlights in there usually, and sometimes, sadly, they're buried in the content somewhere, but generally we walk in with the things that we need accomplished, but provide way too much background information on it, so we're going into all these details. We're confusing our sponsors. We're confusing our stakeholders, and they don't know where to even look in order to help you. And the silly thing is that we don't realize that it's our job to train them. It's our job to train our sponsors, to train our stakeholders in, how to participate in the project with us, how to give us the information that we need. And we just dump all this information on them. And even the most helpful of sponsors and stakeholders don't know where to start to help you because we're forgetting to stop. So then we go back to our desks, we're feeling like beating our head up against the wall because we haven't accomplished what we need to. And now your entire project is going to be delayed because you couldn't get the decisions made that you needed to get made in that meeting. And I don't know about you, but for me, that has been super frustrating. Instead, we need to be having the mindset that we should be running as fast as we can from these big, long status reports, these big, complicated documents. And, quite frankly, I've seen a lot of executives, they see you come in with that status report and they start running in the other direction, and you're having to wear your running shoes to work because you're chasing them down, trying to get them to pay attention to all this detail that you spent weeks putting together for them. But maybe it's not actually what they need. If we can start reining in and getting, taking the bull by the horns of the actual content that we really need to provide to them and getting the right information in their hands, you will find that you will be so much more productive in your meetings. You will have such greater satisfaction, and your team is going to love you because they know that they can count on you to be the hero, to go into these meetings and get the results that they need so that that project can keep moving, the team gets unstuck, you get the resources you need, you get the budget you need, and it's all based on us providing a different way of providing the information to our stakeholders. What they need to know to make educated and informed decisions, and then stop talking. Stop talking, stop providing information, and get your team and your leadership and your sponsors to focus. What does that mean? When you're providing a status report or communication, it doesn't even have to be in written form. I'd like you to keep in mind the questions that you should be able to ask yourself, ask your team, and then answer, because these are the questions that a good sponsor is going to ask. And remember, I said you might need to train them. They may not know what's expected of them or how to participate in the process. So by using this technique and these tools to walk them through the conversation they should be having, you can start to target them to focus on the things that they really need to be doing and paying attention to help you. Be very simple and a list of questions